My name's David Pimentel. I live at 123 North Hayes Street, Hazen A. I bicycle 3rd Street every day. I've submitted comment, and you've had a chance to see mine. Mine's a really long one, so sorry about that. I'm hearing concerns about snow removal. I'm hearing concerns about parking. And as somebody who rides every day, I can tell you right now, when there's heavy snow, there's no place for the bikes to ride except in the middle of the lane. If you're concerned that heaping snow into the bike lane is an unacceptable option, that's the status quo. I mean, don't think you're doing the bicyclists any favor by opting for a plan that doesn't give us the two-way plan because it's going to be full of snow part of the year. I mean, we don't have a place to ride when it's snowy. That's a given. That's true under Plan A. It's true under Plan B. It's true under status quo, and it'll probably be true even with Plan C. But I'm very excited actually to hear that there are some plans some ideas being floated for dealing with that. And I think this is where this body needs to be visionary and look at potential. There is tremendous potential that comes from this. 3rd Street is exactly the place to do this because it connects East City Park to downtown. Where do we have parking problems? We have problems at the Ren Fair, at East City Park events, at the farmers market. Every single person who we persuade to ride a bicycle by making it feel safer or whatever takes another car off the road and frees up parking. We just won't need as much parking if Moscow commits itself to being a bicycle-friendly community. It's scary to go out into the unknown, to try new things. These things have been tried with enormous success in many other places. I don't think it's such a great risk to try it here, and we'll find solutions. The minute those lanes go in, and they'll probably be painted in bright colors or something like that, every single driver is going to be paying attention to how this affects them. The learning curve is there. Yes, it'll take a little while for people to get used to it. That's a very small investment in what is a huge long-term opportunity for the city of Moscow to become a bicycle-friendly community. Once people get used to it on 3rd Street, there may be great options to do this sort of thing on Mountain View and to create an avenue down to the trail. There's so many possibilities here, and it would be a colossal lost opportunity, I believe, for Moscow to say, oh, let's stick with the status quo. It's just, we're all comfortable with that. I don't think that's what we need from our Transportation Commission. I don't think that's what we need from our City Council. I think we need Moscow to be a little forward-looking on something that's just a very good idea for Moscow in general. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Oh, yeah, Linda.
No, I'm Linda Pike again on 1026 East 3rd. Nobody has spoken to this, and so I would like, I guess, some comments, because living there so long, I see so many motorized wheelchairs using 3rd Street, where I live anyway, and a lot of times they are in the street itself, and I don't know whether the sidewalks don't always accommodate them getting onto the sidewalk or what, but we do have a lot of motorized wheelchairs using 3rd Street. I've even seen people on walkers using 3rd Street too. So I just wanted to bring that up. One of the people, the Mosers, that will be, they're in that group that I'm in between Hayes and Garfield, where a sidewalk will be going in, and they have a son that's completely wheelchair bound, and I know they have been very concerned about, because it doesn't work from the sidewalks, and they walk their house because they thought it would be a safe place for his caregivers to put him out there. So I just wanted to bring that up for the people who are in the motorized wheelchairs.
Mike, didn't we talked about that didn't we, that the motorized wheelchairs would be able to access the two-way?
That's right, in the state of Idaho, motorized wheelchairs are able to be in all bike lanes.
Well, they gotta have sidewalk to run on, they can't.
Well, that, I think there's the bike lanes, so they can use the bike lanes too. So, So, any more to discuss? Feel like?
I'll float a motion, see where it goes.
We'll make some motion to see where it goes.
There's one more.
Well, hold on.
I'll,
Wait,
Wait.
Who's, I know, it's later, me here, okay. So, and I just wanted to kind of put one more thing up with it.
What's your name?
Oh, my name is Russ Moore, 424 South Roosevelt. And Les and I talked about this in one of the open houses, was in regards to an advisory bicycle lane. And I know it hasn't been discussed here, and it's pretty, relatively a new concept, but it's, and it may be something that's too much of a compromise to go, but in essence, it would be like a two-way bike lane, normal bike lane, but you wouldn't have to shrink it down to 4 to 5 feet to maintain your lane width. You could make it 5 or 6 foot wide. It has a dashed line on the side for the bike lane, but it actually is identified on the lane as a bike lane. And did you already have that on
I
there?
have one, there it is.
Yeah. And that may be something just worth considering. I mean, I realize there's some benefits to having a, barrier situation and things like that, but, if you're trying to promote, additional, adoption, maybe just that width is enough to provide the calming necessary, and then, additional lane markings and signage and things like that. One of the problems with Sharrows is it's just a intermittent Sharrow, lane marking, pavement marking, whereas this would be something that could be green, striped, you could put all kinds of various things in there to kind of call attention to it. The benefit is, obviously you can see in this thing here, is that the vehicles can utilize part of that lane when there's no bicycles there. So it gives you that width, and hopefully it would be a calming situation. I think it's probably possibly more appropriate for a higher volume traffic zone than, something that Sharrow would handle. So just something that may, you guys may have already discussed this, I don't know for sure, but,
We talked a little bit about it in the sub.
Did you? Yeah. I don't know if it was dismissed because of, because the other, because the protected lane is really, something that's more acceptable for, but I think your winter comment was actually pretty good. People that are willing to bicycle but are not really comfortable, are not gonna be comfortable bicycling in the winter. So something that provides, during fair weather is gonna be what you need to have for folks that are, running in that situation.
Yeah, Phil wanted to make a.
Yeah, just want to make sure. Yeah.
Brandy Sullivan, 121 North Pole. I just in listening to everybody's comments and throwing something else out there that maybe you've all talked about, and if you have, excuse me, but as far as compromise, I wonder about if it could achieve some of that encouraging new people to bike, yet avoiding some of the concerns about the newness of the two-way traffic, to just devote one side to be a protected bike lane. And do the more traditional treatment on the other side. Maybe that, perhaps I kind of leaned over and whispered to Monica, not, maybe the westbound being a protected bike lane rather than the Sharrows in the street that people who are uncomfortable are not going to be riding in traffic downhill. I don't know if that's something that's worthy of consideration or discussion, but maybe that could be an in-between, and then you still have the traditional painted bike lanes on the eastbound way. But I just wanted to throw that out there because I know you're about to make motions, and I just haven't heard that option. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandy.
Wait, no,
We can still have more discussion after the moment.
council makes this decision.
I might make a comment just to interject, to respond to some of these ideas. Because I'm one who, I feel like I've looked at many different alternatives, different ways to look at it.
Can you speak up just a little more? I can't hear you.
Sure, thanks. I can step up a little bit. So I was just going to say, I as on the technical advisory committee, on the committee, I looked at a lot of different ideas. I spent many nights with the pad of paper and the area we have and tried to think of a cross-section that would fit. Just to comment on a few that were mentioned, because I agree with Phil, none of the answers are perfect. And in the end, my many renditions of it came down to the end that Plan C, that the separated, two-way separated bike lane is the better of all of the evils, we can say. But this one here, just so that someone can have answers, this is intended for lower volumes. And so there has been guidance that came out from FHWA. And the reason is because there's not a center line in the middle of that lane, and the cars are intended to pass each other by encroaching on the bike lane. It's often only 20 feet, or less than 20 feet, the center lane without a center line. So that's the issue there. And then to comment on this idea, which I do think has some merit, the idea of only one side with a protected bike lane, and then the other side something else. The issue that we ran into with that idea, though, is that it comes back to shoveling that small space. If you've got a separated bike lane, and we're already just barely getting 8, because to get a sweeper in and snow shovel, if it's a protected bike lane of only 4 feet, you're running into that issue. So I tell you, and with Les and others, we've looked at a lot of different cross sections. I just don't, I've heard people say maybe we go back to the drawing board and rethink about this. I'm not sure there's really an answer. When it comes down to it, basically you've got 8 feet extra because the 2 travel lanes are 11 feet. You've got 8 feet. So what do you do with it? Do you split it with 4 on either side for bike lanes? Do you give the 8 feet to parking, or do you give the 8 feet to a separated bike lane? And the parking question's a good one. Do we want to have that parking? I will make a comment on that too. We don't see a lot of parking on that narrow section from Polk until Hayes. And it makes you wonder why people aren't parking there. And one of the reasons might be is because from Polk until Hayes, even though it's you're allowed to park there, it's uncomfortable to park there because of the vehicle volumes. So when the bridge opens up and the volumes start going through Hayes and keep continuing on to Mountain View, will the people not want to park there either? Will they find that uncomfortable to park between Hayes and Mountain View? So in some ways, I'm not sure if the loss of the parking is as much of an issue as it might seem, because maybe people will elect not to park there.
They don't have the apartments that we do between Hayes and Blaine. That's a very dense neighborhood.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just not sure because right now it's about 2,000 vehicles, and when that increases to a high volume, maybe people won't be parking there anyway.
On where we're going to go.
Great. And so that's all for now, I guess.